Hey everyone, Luke here, and welcome to How to Sharpen the series. I just wanted to kind of bring some short form, not too long, straight to the point kind of content in a series, minimizing how much content I keep to one sort of video to not try to confuse things and just make it a series that people can reference and come back to on small aspects when it comes to sharpening, because it's definitely a whole world of tangents that can kind of branch off and go into different aspects here and there. So I just wanted to kind of start from zero and make a series going forward, maybe whether it's the use of stones, practicality of sharpening, or when it comes to sharpening different knives and the variabilities that there are there. So to begin this, we're going to get right into it with knife anatomy that'll help us progress and go forward. Of course, some anatomy will get more intense as we go on, but we're going to start with a very basic and bare minimum when it comes to knife anatomy. So let's change the camera angle for that and get started. Alrighty, everyone. Here, just for demonstrative purposes, this knife is a 27 centimeter Gyuto. It's a workhorse of mine that I still use. It's definitely had a little bit of work other than sharpening done. We'll definitely get into that more later. This is a very broad and general knife that a lot of people use. Sizes can vary, but this profile is very much approachable and something that we can find a lot of anatomy to go off that you'll find to compare to other knives. So starting with very basic, of course, handle and blade. Then we'll get into smaller things here and there. Working our way up, we have the choil. This is being the first one that, or small thing I would keep in mind, is just because this is oftentimes a resting place for a finger, whether it's for sharpening or for using. Moving forward, we just have the heel of the knife. A lot of times we talk about reference moving in heel up or down to the heel. So that heel is very important to keep in mind. Then we have the spine of the knife running all the way down. And then running all the way down, we have the tip. Very important to consider whether or not it's a broken tip or whether or not we are working from tip to heel or heel to tip when it comes to sharpening. Another thing to consider, it's going to be very not as noticeable on this knife because it's very thin. This knife tapers down and then comes to an edge where we have another facet that changes. It's very hard to see on this knife, but this is what we would call the cutting edge. Japanese term for this, just because it's very relevant in Japanese knives, which is my personal specialty. This we call the koba. Very important to know that this is a bevel, and sometimes we reference this as the cutting bevel. Otherwise, there are things like a secondary bevel, which is not something that's very prominent on this knife. But this is where most of the sharpening work happens, and we're going to definitely get into that later on. But now that we're set up with some very basic geometry, hopefully you'll join me in the next video where we'll cover the most basic sharpening tasks.